Hi everyone. Oh my goodness, so much has happened in the last 24 hours. Not even 12 hours. Um, on, I woke up this morning at 6:12, and I got dressed for work, and I never forget my battery power for my phone. It's an external power source that if I'm losing power on my phone, I can plug it in real quick and I can extend the life of the battery. You know, kind of like plug it into the wall. And I forgot it. And I was already at the bus stop. The bus was like, so I'm crossing and the bus arrives. Literally, that's how it worked. And so I got on the bus, I got in, I went down to the other bus stop, and the, the day didn't feel any different than it usually does. Um, I was thinking about yesterday and all the things that happened yesterday, and um, remembering that I was feeling lightheaded, and then all the things that happened, and so I go down the street and I go to Dunkin' Donuts to get food. I purchased a coffee, a donut, and a croissant with egg and cheese and sausage. And then after I'm done there, I walk across the street and I go to the 99-cent store, and I've been buying these Red Bulls. I think I said this before. I've been buying these Red Bulls that have pear and cinnamon. And I don't drink Red Bulls. I don't like the taste of them. But God led me to start drinking them, because I'm not drinking soda anymore since I'm drinking the Red Bulls. In fact, I don't really like soda um, as much as I used to. And there was a time where I did go cold turkey without soda. Like, I would drink teas, I would drink other things, but I wouldn't drink soda. And the soda of choice is Pepsi. So this morning I saw two Pepsi trucks, and I know that that means that I'm moving again. Because whenever I see the Pepsi trucks around me, that's usually movement, that I'm going to be moving, or something around me is going to be moving or changing. I do feel like I am not needed at work anymore. Like, they could do it on their own without me. One of the things that I was asking God about, so if you remember in scripture, it says that once God cleans the house, once God cleans the temple, okay, we are the temple, our bodies are the temple. Once He cleans it out from all of the sin, when these spirits come back around to try and get in, they can't. Eyes to see, ears to hear. And I'm sorry, because I just realized I'm not wearing my glasses, which is why I'm like, why is it so blurry? Please forgive me. And so God has been providing that context for me throughout today. So I get to work. I actually took the shift for someone else. She was supposed to come in at 9 in the morning. I was supposed to have the day off, but she had a doctor's appointment. The reason I was allowed to, so she's asked me to take her shifts before. And it's always been, no, I can't, sorry. No, I can't. God won't allow me to say yes until yesterday. I got home and God said, text Carla and let her know that this was Monday. Text Carla that you're going to take her shift. Because Monday was when she asked me. And I was like, I can't, I'm sorry. I've been working for 9 days. I'm tired. I can't. And so she was like, okay. And then she started talking about her surgery. Now, I didn't know exactly what kind of surgery she had, but God started to show me. He said, look at her waist. Look at her. Why is she wearing those style of pants? Who do you remember wearing something similar? I remember an aunt, the woman who raised me, her older sister, had a friend who had gone through liposuction, and they had like they had taken ribs out, and I don't know, a whole bunch of stuff. And she was wrapped in plastic in order to keep her together. And the reason that the doctors had to wrap her in plastic is because when they removed the ribs, they needed to allow the body to contort around the remaining ribs so that her insides wouldn't just plop down into her stomach and cause problems. So she had to wear it for like 6 months in order for her body to adjust to what had been done to it. And God showed, that's the image God showed me. I'm like, oh, so she had liposuction. And then he confirmed that with, she started talking to the GM, Will, about her procedure. And he made a comment about how his girlfriend wants to do something similar because she's not happy with the way her body looks and with the pounds that she has on her body. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to do changes to your body, but for me, it's never been something God has said, you need to do this. I've wanted to. Like, I thought about gastro bypass, and I thought about all these other procedures that I've heard everybody else do, and God says, no, not for you. And I'm like, okay. And so I had all this context before today, okay? And then today, because I took the position, the place of Carla, I came in and I had to do the ranch. I had to do salads. I had to do, so all the morning prep things that she normally does were my responsibility. Now, I don't do things like the other girls. I don't prepare the things the way the other girls do. So I went out into the lobby and I started with the cheese, and I started with the because we have to put out the cheese shakers, and then once we do that, so I do it simultaneously. As I'm putting out the cheese on one side of the room and I'm turning on the TVs, I'm also starting the teas, and I'm also putting in the nozzles for the soda. And then once the nozzles are done, I turn them on so I don't forget. And then the next thing I do is I alternate the teas so that I can keep moving forward. And then I finish the cheese on one half of the room and I do the other half, the middle half of the room. While that's happening, the first tea has completed, so I switch it to the second tea, and then I go to the last part of the room and I turn on the remaining TVs and I put the remaining cheeses out. And that is about the time that the second one is almost full. So then I get my prep stuff for putting the ranch into the cups that we're going to have available for the customers. And so I set out all my cups, and about that time, the second urn of tea is done. So then I go and I would push it out and I put in the third tea, and that's it, final. Then, as I'm putting it all, as I'm going through, and I was about to start, and then I thought, I should check with Will just to make sure. And so, because I went to the back and I noticed that there was already 4 trays, and normally they only want 4 trays at a time. And then I checked the front, and I checked the sides where we have additional ranch, which is the ranch we're using for food, for customers, and to give out. And so I checked one, it was full. The other one was about 3/4 of the way full. So I went to Will and I said, hey, there's already 4 in the back, and there's 1 full one in the sides, and there's a 3/4 one up front. Do you want me to make more ranch? And he said, yes, make 2, at least 2, if not 3. I said, okay, no problem. So I put out the cups and I started to fill them in because I grabbed whatever the box was that was open, had I think 6 pouches in it. So I ended up making 8 pouches total. And Cassie showed up about 9:48 and I was done with the ranch. And then she goes, "What do you have left?" I said, "Just the salads." And she just looked around like, okay. I had no expectations for the day. However, God did lead me last night while I was in the bath to pray over this young girl, to pray over her, to ask Him to move within her life, to move her, to soften her heart, and to give her the opportunity to repent. And so, as I'm going through the motions of getting the ranch filled in, and I finally covered up and putting them in the containers and putting them away, and I was finally finished, I don't work the morning as often as they do. So they have an idea of how many salads they're going to sell. So I asked her, I said, "Cassie, how many salads do I need to make?" And she goes, "You need to make 24 salads, and you need to make 6 to-go salads." And I was like, okay. So I went and I started prepping 6, and then another 6, and then another 6, and another 6. And I was like, are they all going to fit? Because I wasn't thinking about 12 go on top and 12 go on the bottom. And she goes, "Yeah, you just put 12 on top and 12 on bottom." I'm like, oh, duh. And of course, Joey, the person who took money from her to provide false information, says to me, "Duh, Diana, can't you count?" And I'm like, not this early in the morning. And second off, I don't work mornings as often as you guys do. I always only fill the top portion of it. I never fill the bottom. So I was not thinking that it's the same amount on top as it is on the bottom. And so we're going through the day, and we're slow. So I start looking at the boxes and I start making boxes. And then every time a customer comes in or a phone call rings, I go and I answer it, and I take care of the customer at the register. And I took an order over the phone for 8 extra larges. And then I let Will know, hey, I just took an order for 8 extra larges, so you're gonna have a pretty decent amount of work to do. And he goes, okay, no problem. And so he goes, oh, for 5 o'clock? I said, no, it's for right now. He's like, oh, because he wasn't thinking that he was going to have that many pizzas to make this early in the morning. And so he started working on the order, and as we were going through the day, no one was giving us tips at that point. And suddenly the gentleman showed up, and I happened to be the one to help him. He's a construction worker. And so I was like, oh, hi, yeah, your pizza's right here. And I gave them to him. And I said, do you need any plates? And he goes, oh my God, yes. And I was like, okay, let me go ahead and grab them. And Cassie says, Diana, they're over here. And I said, I know, I just like grabbing them over here because then I can grab a stack of the plates, and I can put in a thing of napkins, and then I can go over here and I said, would you like cheese and pepper? And he's like, oh my God, yes. And I put them in the bag, and then I gave him some silverware or plasticware. And I said, because, sometimes the guys don't want to be all, I don't want to touch my food because, their hands are dirty. And I understand that. And if you don't have a way to wash your hands, you don't want to touch your food. And he goes, thank you for that. I really appreciate you. And I'm like, well, you guys work hard. You guys should have something to enjoy your food with. And so I gave him all the plates and everything. And then he goes, oh, and I need a receipt. And I said, no problem. I could definitely help you with that too. And he was about to write in the amount for a tip. And he goes, no, you know what? Here, this is for you guys. God gave me a choice. He said, you can keep it because it's yours, because you did all the work. Or you can share it with him. I'm like, you're going to let me share it? And he goes, yes. I'm like, okay, then I'll share it. And I put it in the tip jar. And so so we keep working, we keep working. There was a few people that gave us, $3, $4, and blah, blah, blah. And so I told Cassie, I said, we just made $10 a piece. Or, no, $11 a piece, because there was two $1 bills. And she goes, we did? I said, yeah, the construction worker, he gave us a $20 bill. And she goes, he did? Yeah. And it changed her attitude completely around. I had filled in all of the large boxes. I had filled in all of the extra large boxes. I filled in the bottom rack. At the end of the day, we're not allowed to leave until those things are completely done, which they tend to leave for the end of the day because they don't want to do it. I don't mind it because I'm used to it at night. That's what I do at the beginning of my shift because I don't want to do it at the end of my shift. I want to go home at the end of my shift. I don't want to have one more thing to do. And so so we're going through the day, she's getting tips, I'm getting tips, I'm putting them in the tip jar, and she's putting them in the tip jar. And this is why God was like, you can share it. She's going to share with you. Even Stephen, she's not going to take what's not hers anymore. I'm like, okay. And so I was cleaning tables, and I was wiping everything down, and all of a sudden, she goes, I'll be right back. I'm going to do our dishes. Because I was expecting to do dishes before I leave, because that's what Will had Carla do yesterday before she left. She had to catch up all the dishes. When I went back there to put dishes at the dish sink, I was like, what happened to all the dishes? And God said, because everything was done when Cassie walked in the door, she didn't have to do any of your work. She didn't have to pull your weight. She didn't have to feel like, you can't do your own work. I have to help you with your own work. Because that's the kind of person she is. She's very bratty. She's very bratty. And she's spoiled. Her parents spoiled her. She doesn't feel like she needs to work or exert herself in order to make her money. She should be able to come in and do her job and not have to do other people's jobs. Now, those of us who've been in the service industry, who've been in the work industry, there are times where you have to pull someone else's weight. It's just part of life. You gotta have to suck it up and move along. Cassie's not that kind of girl, and she will voice it. She will not allow anyone to push her and make her do things that she doesn't want to do. And guess what? Because if you do, then she'll sit there. And you'll be like, are you going to get that? She goes, no. You don't pay me enough to get the phone every time it rings. And go do dishes, and go do this, and go. And I was like, this is what she was telling me yesterday, that they don't pay her enough to do, all this work. And here she is today doing all this work. And I'm like, what did you do to her, Father? Like, she's a completely different person today. Now, this is the girl that back the first time around, God had changed her heart towards me. And then, because of the little triangle that they had going on, and when you start spewing one evil and another evil, and then it like festers and grows and grows. And it's funny because I understood what Cody said when he said it, even though he didn't understand what he was saying, other than taking it at face value. Cody said to me, their little trio has fallen apart. It's come undone. They're not communicating with each other anymore. They're not doing the things that they were doing before. I said, of course not. Because the only reason they came together was to get me out. And now they can't. And he started laughing. He's like, because he knows it's true. The only reason those girls banded together was to get me to go, to be fired, to be removed from the premises, because spirits don't want to leave. They like it in the filth. They like it when they're lazy and they're just like, Have you ever seen a very hefty person when they go to sit down and they kind of squeeze themselves into the spot? Yeah, that's what these spirits were doing. They were very fat and they were very happy with the disgusting filth they had created in that store. And God said, no, you ain't. No, you ain't. And now that we've gone through this time and we've gone full circle, these spirits tried to come back in. And God said, you're going to get out right now. So this morning when I get to the bus stop to go walk across the street to get to the other bus stop, whenever something is about to change drastically in my life, He shows me a new dawn. When I left my apartment, He showed me a new dawn. He showed me the word dawn, D-A-W-N, with a red sky, with a red sun, telling me a new dawn. And He showed me today a new dawn. That was before I got to work. And then all of these things happened. At the end of our shift, we both each made $17 each. My employee number when I first started for Peter Piper Pizza was 1717. The employee number that I was able to choose for myself, God said, choose 1717 because that's who you are. He's been showing me victory, Victor. We now have an employee named Victor. He is now an employee at our store. Victor, I am a victor. By giving us each, by me sharing my bounty with her, it revealed to me that my enemies have now been put under me. They are no longer above me, and they are now beneath me. And not in the, you have to have eyes to see and ears to hear. It's not a, oh, I'm superior to you. No, it's not like that at all. God has reduced them. God has ensured that they are no longer looking at themselves as a higher spiritual being than me. Because in reality, if you were to see them in the spirit, they would not be mature enough to stand against me. Because I am mature in my walk. I understand what God is telling me. I see the things that God is giving me. And today, He had something very interesting happen to me. I look up, well, first He sends me to go get doggy pads for my dog so that I can have him do the bathroom inside when I'm not here. And then I leave the store, and then God reminds me about something that I was trying to take advantage of, which was buy one, get one free. That's what the sign said. It did not say buy two. It said buy one, get one free, which is why I was like, oh, I'll buy one and I'll get one free. When they rung it up at the register, it didn't ring up buy one, get one free. And when they read it to me, so I came back and said, these are supposed to be buy one, get one free. And they said, no, they're not. Okay. And I said, and if they're not, then I don't want both. I just want the one. And they're like, okay. But the girl was very unfriendly. She was very matter of fact. She's like, yeah, no, it's 2 for 1. You get buy 2, you get 1 free. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I misread it then and I don't want it. She goes, okay, fine. No, I am so sorry for the misunderstanding. You know, we should have better signage. Nothing. Nothing. Just, yeah, whatever. I don't care. Give me your money. And then I asked her how long it's going to take to get back into my card, because I remembered that sometimes it takes 3 to 5 business days, and I didn't want my money to take that long. And she goes, oh, we can't, because I said, how long is it going to take? And she goes, oh, about 24 hours. And I was like, okay, you don't know what you're talking about. Never mind. I said, can I just get the cash? And she goes, the system won't allow me to give you cash. If you pay with a card, I have to give it to you on a card, on your card. If it was reversed and you paid with cash, I would have to give you cash. I wouldn't be able to put it on a card. And I'm like, if I pay cash, I wouldn't want you to put it on a card, because that wouldn't make sense. And I was like, you know what? Again, she was not being friendly. She was not being service. Her customer service was non-existent, and I was just like, and this isn't the first time I've gone through this register with this girl. The last time she asked me if I wanted a bag, and I said yes, and she goes, that'll be 10 cents. And I was like, seriously? For a paper thin bag? I said, at least in California, they give you the thicker bag. She goes, yeah. Well, we don't. I was like, wow, okay. Yeah. Then don't be charging 10 cents for a bag that isn't worth 10 cents. So I paid my 10 cents, I took my bag, and I left. That was the first interaction with this girl. This is my second interaction with this girl. Father will send me back a third time if he needs to, but I don't know. So I was on my way back to go towards the bus when I see the bus, and I was like, okay, I'm not in that much of a hurry. I can wait for the next one. So I get to the bus stop, and I just sit down, and I'm waiting, and I'm waiting, and I'm waiting, and I'm waiting. And then all of a sudden, people start showing up. And I get up. The bus finally shows up. Get on the bus. And I'm starting to fall asleep. Well, not fall asleep, but it's more like I'm kind of relaxing. I'm resting. And so I get to where I get off to catch the next bus. And God says, go to CVS and get yourself some wine. Because he wanted me to go to Safeway. He wanted me to go do other things. And I was like, Father, I'm exhausted. Can I please go tomorrow? Because I'm just, I'm so tired. Like, I could fall asleep standing up. That's how tired I am. I've been working for the last 9 days. Tomorrow is going to be the first day that I don't have to get up to go to work at 6 o'clock in the morning. Mornings is not hard when you don't have an additional 5 days beforehand that you worked. Because I worked 5 days beforehand, and some of it was opening and closing, which it takes a toll, because you close and then you have to turn around and come back and open, and then you close again, and then you have to turn around, come back and open, and then now you're open, but you're still going off of a reduced amount of sleep. So I go and I buy the wine, I come back, and God says, go get yourself something to eat, because you haven't eaten anything since that piece of pizza you ate, and you didn't really eat much of it. And I said, okay. So I went into the Burger King, and I bought myself 4 wraps, 2 for there, and I was going to actually eat all 4, but something happened. So I told the girl, I said, can you hold on to my drink? I need to go to the restroom. And so I went to the restroom, came back out, got my soda, and then I remembered from the day before that they lock the soda. And they do that so that the homeless people don't come in and just help themselves to soda. Which is fine, but when you have paying customers, it's kind of difficult to get your soda when it's locked. So I had to stand there and wait for her to finally turn around, and I said, can you unlock the soda machine so that I can get my soda? And she's like, okay. And then she didn't even ask me if I wanted my food for here. She just put it in a bag to go. And I was like, okay, Father. So I sat down and I saw the bus come and go. And I was like, oh, that's okay. I'll catch the next one. As I'm sitting there eating my wrap, I'm almost at the end, and God makes me look up, and in the corner is a young man. And when he looked at me, I was just like, and he looked like, do you know me? Like you could see the face, like, and to me it looked like, does he recognize me? Is that my son Tim? So I leaned in a little bit and I said, Tim? And the young man looks at me and he goes, I'm sorry? And I said, are you Tim? And he goes, no, my name's not Tim. And I was like, I am so sorry. And all I could do was grab my heart. I said, I'm so sorry. I thought you looked just like my son. For a second there, I thought you were my son. Now this is a homeless man, okay? And I was like, and I just kept, I ate my food, and then I pulled out another wrap. And he could see the impact that he had on me. And all of a sudden I felt led to ask him, I said, are you hungry? And he said, no, I'm not hungry. And then he stood up because he was still looking at me and still looking at me. And then he stood up and he said, actually, I would like to buy a drink. And so I was fidgeting around with money in my pocket. I had $1 and some change. And God goes, give him 2 more. And I was like, okay. He never has me pull out my wallet. I pulled out my wallet. I took $2 out. I closed up my wallet. I put it back in. I gave him $3 in change. Catch it in the spirit, everyone. This boy, this young man looked like my son. The spitting image of my youngest son. I have 3 children, 2 boys and a girl. The girl is the oldest, then come my 2 boys. See it in the spirit, hear it in the spirit. There is revelation here. I gave him $3 and change. I gave it to him. I said, here. What I saw him do next broke my heart.